All aboard! The Playskool bus is here. Now, who's coming to Playskool today?
We are, Mr. Steve.
Who's we? Call out your name so I know everybody's here.
Judy, I'm here, Mr. Steve.
Jonathan, I'm here too, Mr. Steve.
Jamie, I'm here. Me too.
Me too? I don't know anybody named Me Too.
It's me, Jim. I'm here too.
That's 4 of you. And that's just right, because Miss Mary is waiting for you at the Playskool. So take your seats and let's roll to the Playskool. Come along on the Playskool bus, on the Playskool bus, on the bus with us. Come along on the Playskool bus, come along and join the fun. You belong on the Playskool bus, on the Playskool bus, on the bus with us. Come along on the Playskool bus, come along with everyone.
Maybe we'll learn to be polite. Maybe we'll read and write. Maybe we'll fly a kite. Mr. Steve?
Yes?
Would you sing in your funny voice? You mean like this? Yeah! Come along on the Playskool bus, on the Playskool bus, on the bus with us. Come along on the Playskool bus, come along and join the fun. You belong on the Playskool bus, on the Playskool bus, on the bus with us. Come along on the Playskool bus, come along with everyone. Maybe we'll learn to be polite. Maybe we'll read and write. Maybe we'll fly a kite. You belong on the Playskool bus, on the Playskool bus, on the bus with us. You belong on the Playskool bus, all aboard, everyone. We're on our way to fun. You belong on the Playskool bus.
Say, Judy, what's that you've got with you? It looks like a broom, but of course it can't be a broom. Who brings a broom to school? Isn't that a funny thought, bringing a broom to school?
It is a broom, Mr. Steve.
Who'd ever think of bringing a broom to school?
It is a broom, Mr. Steve.
It is a broom.
Yes. Miss Mary asked me to bring it to Playskool today.
She did? What are you bringing, Jonathan?
An old sheet. See? Here it is.
Jimmy, are you bringing something too?
Sure, I've got a bag of apples.
Apples? Well, what about you, Jamie? I don't see you carrying something.
It's in my pocket, Mr. Steve. It's a packet of pins.
A pocket in your packet? I mean, a packet in your pocket?
Yes, it's a packet of straight pins.
But what are they for? Why did Miss Mary ask you to bring all these things?
It's for our party today.
Party? But what for? What's the reason?
It's Halloween!
Tonight's Halloween, Mr. Steve. So we're going to have a Halloween party at school. Miss Mary said so.
I completely forgot it was Halloween. But I didn't forget the way to Playskool, because here we are.
And there's Miss Mary waiting for us.
Hello, Miss Mary. Good morning, Miss Mary. Hi, Miss Mary.
Good morning, everybody. And how are you all today? Come on in.
Are we really going to have a Halloween party, Miss Mary?
We sure are. Now tell me, when you think of Halloween, what do you think of?
I think of goblins.
I think of ghosts. I think of witches.
Wow, sounds pretty scary to me.
It's fun to dress up on Halloween and pretend to be ghosts.
And goblins. And witches.
That's why I brought a sheet, Mr. Steve, so I can make a ghost costume.
And that's why I brought a broom, so I could pretend to be a witch and ride on it. We're going to put on our costumes.
And paint our faces.
And we're going to have a parade, Mr. Steve. We'll show you.
Boo to you, and here's a fright or two to make you shake and shiver and afraid.
But it's only us pretending we're goblins on parade.
Boo to you, and can you figure who is underneath these costumes we have made?
Oh, was wondering,
Yes, Judy?
why does Halloween mean goblins?
And ghosts.
And witches?
And why is Halloween a time for fun?
Well, long, long ago, there was an ancient people called the Druids. And what's more, they believed that the ghosts and goblins and witches all came out to dance and play on Halloween. Oh, I forgot to tell you. As part of our celebration today, I have a surprise for you.
What is it, Miss Mary?
We're going to have a visit in just a little while from some friends.
Who?
It's the Playskool players. They've written some Halloween plays just for us, and they're coming here to school to act them for us.
That'll be fun.
But first, let's have some Halloween games. Who knows bobbing for apples?
I know that one, Miss Mary.
Will you teach it to us, Mr. Steve?
Sure. Catch one if you can.
Catch one if you can!
Catch one if you can. Catch one if you can. Bobbin', bobbin', bobbin' for apples. Come and play and join the fun.
Bobbin', bobbin', bobbin' for apples. Can you catch them one by one?
Can you catch them one by one? Bobbin', bobbin', bobbin' for apples. It's an easy game to play.
Bobbin', bobbin', bobbin' for apples. But don't let them get away.
But don't let them get away.
Here comes a couple of apples bobbing into sight.
Bend down and try to catch one with a great big bite. Catch one if you can.
Catch one if you can.
Catch one if you can. Catch one if you can. Bobbin', bobbin', bobbin' for apples. Come and play and join the fun.
Bobbin', bobbin', bobbin' for apples. Can you catch them one by one?
Can you catch them one by one? Catch one if you can.
Catch one if you can.
Catch one if you can. Catch one if you can. Bobbin', bobbin', bobbin' for apples. Come and play and join the fun.
Bobbin', bobbin', bobbin' for apples. Can you catch them one by one?
Can you catch them one by one? Bobbin', bobbin', bobbin' for apples. It's an easy game to play.
Bobbin', bobbin', bobbin' for apples. But don't let them get away.
But don't let them get away.
Here comes a couple of apples bobbing into sight. Bend down and try to catch one with a great big bite.
Catch one if you can.
Catch one if you can.
Catch one if you can. Catch one if you can.
That was fun. Are there any more Halloween games?
I know one. Jamie, what did you bring to Playskool today?
Pins.
She's got a pocket in her packet. I mean, she's got a packet in her pocket. A packet of pins.
Then we can play Pin the Tail on the Donkey.
Oh, that's a fun game.
Where's the donkey?
I've got it. It's a paper donkey, of course. I'll tack it up on the wall right here. There. Isn't he handsome?
But something's missing.
He hasn't got his tail. That's on purpose, Jim. That's what the game is all about.
Try and pin the tail on the donkey. Close your eyes, be sure you can't see. Try and pin the tail on the donkey, where the donkey's tail ought to be. Try and pin the tail on the donkey. Walk up closer now, bit by bit. Try and pin the tail on the donkey, where the donkey's tail ought to fit. Walk real steady. Are you ready?
He is such a sad little donkey. tail now and then. When you pin the tail on the donkey, he'll be all together again. Who can pin the tail on the donkey? Who can pin it on with a touch? When you pin the tail on the donkey, he will thank you all very much. Walk real steady, nothing to it. You can do it. Go! Try and pin the tail on the donkey. Close your eyes, be sure you can't see. Try and pin the tail on the donkey, where the donkey's tail ought to be. Try and pin the tail on the donkey. Walk up closer now, bit by bit. Try and pin the tail on the donkey, where the donkey's tail ought to fit. Walk real steady. Are you ready? Go!
Well, there's another part of Halloween that I know.
What is it, Mr. Steve?
It's a pumpkin, all hollowed out inside. Then you cut holes for his eyes and his nose and his mouth.
Then what, Mr. Steve?
Then you light a candle and put it inside his face, and it glows in the dark. They call it a jack-o'-lantern.
What's it for, Mr. Steve?
Well, some people say that Mr. Jack-o'-lantern's big shining face scares away the ghosts.
And goblins.
And witches.
Just in case there really are any flying around on Halloween. But mostly, Mr. Jack-o'-lantern is for fun.
Mr. Jack-o'-lantern, lighting up the night. With his happy smile, he's a jolly sight. When you see him shining, that could only mean Mr. Jack-o'-lantern is here for Halloween. La, 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 la. La, 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 la.
There's one more part of Halloween we shouldn't forget.
What's that, Miss Mary?
You know. What are you going to do tonight? You're going to get all dressed up.
Like ghosts.
And goblins.
And witches.
And you're going to go to somebody's front door.
And you'll ring the doorbell.
And when they answer it, what will you say?
Trick or treat!
We'll come and ring your doorbell. Ring, ring-a-ling-a-ling. And when you open up your door, here is what we'll sing. Trick or treat. Have you anything that's fun to eat? Have you anything that's good to give? Boys and girls tonight. Trick or treat. When you see us coming down your street, got a chocolate or something sweet, just a little bite. Even some pennies would be so nice to see. We give them all to children less fortunate than we. Trick or treat. Got a piece of pumpkin pie to eat. Have you anything to make tonight? Delightfully complete. It's Halloween and time for. Now's the time we scream for. It's Halloween and time for trick or treat. Trick or treat. Have you anything that's fun to eat? Have you anything that's good to give? Boys and girls tonight. Trick or treat. When you see us coming down your street, got a chocolate or something sweet, just a little bite. Even some pennies would be so nice to see.
Miss Mary, some guests just arrived at Playskool. They're in the auditorium next door.
That must be the Playskool players, with the plays they've written just for us. Everybody, come on. Let's go see. Just through this door. And here we are.
And just in time. I think they're ready to begin.
Then let me introduce the next part of our Halloween party. Boys and girls, presenting for your Halloween pleasure, the Playskool Players. They will perform 3 plays written especially for us. The plays will be first, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. Second will be A Visit from Jack-o'-lantern. And our third play will be The Story of Hansel and Gretel. Let the show begin!
Playskool Playhouse presents The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. Long ago, there was a sleepy little town on the Hudson River called Sleepy Hollow. The citizens there were hard-working and good, but they were uneducated since the town had no school. And so, they decided to hire a schoolmaster to teach their children how to read and write. Now, the day the schoolmaster arrived was quite a day for Sleepy Hollow, and everybody in town came out to greet the new teacher.
I heard he's traveled all over the world.
Imagine how smart he must be.
Look, that must be him with the books under his arm. Shh. He's going to make a speech.
People of Sleepy Hollow, my name is Ichabod Crane, and I am proud to finally bring some learning to this little village of yours.
Mr. Crane, is it true that you have traveled all over the world?
Well, I don't like to brag, but I have been to New Jersey and back.
Oh.
And Mr. Crane, will you be able to teach our children to read and write?
Well, I myself read and write in English, French, German, and of course I also speak Latin and Greek as well.
Oh!
What is your method of teaching, Mr. Crane?
My teaching method is simple. I rap their knuckles until they learn.
Ooh. Soon, Ichabod Crane was the darling of Sleepy Hollow. Everybody thought he was the most wonderful man in the world. Everybody, that is, except the children, who had to put up with his pompous ways and terrible temper day after day. But though the children disliked him, the grown-ups adored him. And every night, Sleepy Hollow families invited the scholar for dinner just to hear his dazzling talk.
More potatoes, Mr. Crane?
Ipso facto quid pro quo.
And soon the young women of Sleepy Hollow were fighting over who would win Mr. Ichabod Crane for a husband.
Why, me, of course. I am the best cook in the village.
But I sew the best. Too bad for you both that I am so pretty.
Well, all this talk and attention went to Ichabod's head. In fact, he got prouder and more conceited with every passing day.
These people are a bunch of cabbage heads. Why, I could marry any girl in this town. So why shouldn't I choose the richest, Katrina Van Tassel? Her father owns more gold coins than the dictionary has words.
But it just so happened that Katrina Van Tassel was already promised to someone else, a fine, upstanding young man by the name of Brom Bones. Ichabod knew this, but it didn't concern him a bit.
Brom Bones is merely a country bumpkin. I shall have no problem disposing of him.
And soon Ichabod Crane was eating dinner every night at the Van Tassel farm while Brom Bones sat out by the horses plotting his revenge. Now, there was a legend in Sleepy Hollow that every year on Halloween night a headless horseman would ride through the valley near the Van Tassel house. And every year on Halloween, the people of Sleepy Hollow shut their windows and doors as tight as could be. Ichabod Crane had heard the legend just like everyone else, but he was now so proud that he thought himself above such silly notions. And so on Halloween Day, Ichabod Crane made an announcement for all the town to hear.
Tonight, I shall ride across the hollow when I come home from the Van Tassel estate, just as I do every other night.
He's so brave!
Oh!
And so, after dazzling Katrina and her parents with his wonderful bravery, Ichabod mounted his horse, and off he went into the dark, mysterious Halloween night.
Oh, why should I be afraid because of a country folk tale? I am above that kind of fear.
But suddenly...
What was that? Who's there? Ah!
Well, if it's not the pompous Mr. Crane, let me introduce myself. I am the Headless Horseman. But why are you trembling? Not afraid of an old legend like me,
Certainly not. And what have you done with your head?
The same thing I'm going to do with yours.
Get me out of here!
The next morning, Ichabod Crane's horse was found safe and sound. But as for the schoolmaster, he was never seen again in Sleepy Hollow. Some say he moved to New Jersey. Some say he moved to France. Sleepy Hollow got a new school teacher, one that the children really liked. And as for Brom Bones, well, he seemed mighty happy that Ichabod was gone. Maybe he had something to do with that headless horseman. And the next spring, he and Katrina Von Tassel were married in the valley of Sleepy Hollow as all the townspeople watched. Aren't they the loveliest bride and groom? And they lived happily ever after the rest of their long, long lives.
A visit from Jack-o'-lantern. Oh, that poor Johnny Needlehofer. He was the most superstitious boy in the whole wide world. He believed in magic, luck, and fate. And so he was a very scared little boy. Wherever he walked with his head down.
Step on a crack, break your mother's back.
And he was afraid of walking under ladders, the number 13, broken mirrors, and black cats walking across his path.
Bad luck. All those things bring bad luck.
As you can imagine, Halloween was the scariest night of the year for Johnny. Until last year, when something happened to change all that forever.
Night, Johnny.
Oh, Mom, leave the light on and the door open, please.
All right, son. Sleep well.
Johnny was on the point of falling asleep when two strange figures entered his room.
Who are you?
Why, can't you tell from my big orange face? I'm Jack-o'-lantern, here to pay you a midnight call. And that's my black cat, Halloween.
Halloween? But I thought black cats...
Yes, I know what you thought, Johnny, that black cats are unlucky. But none of it's true. It was all just a thing called superstition. Now, many, many years ago, these beliefs grew when people didn't know any better. But there's really no truth to them at all. You've got to make your own luck, Johnny. Isn't that right, Halloween?
Meow.
What's more, the holiday of Halloween wasn't always about witches and goblins and such silly stuff. Oh, no, it was the old harvest festival and the beginning of the ancient new year. It's a time to celebrate, not to be afraid.
Gee.
Whoops, dawn is breaking. I've got to go now, but remember what I said, okay? See you next year.
And the next morning, as Johnny was on his way to the playground, thinking about what Jack-o'-lantern had said, who should cross his path but...
Gee, it's a little black kitten. Hi there, little kitten. You're cute. You want to come home with me? We can be good friends. I'll call you Lucky. What do you say?
And little Johnny Needlehofer was never superstitious again.
story of Hansel and Gretel. Once, there was a little boy named Hansel and a little girl named Gretel, who lived with their parents in a little house at the edge of an enchanted forest. Hansel and Gretel were really very clever children, but I'm sorry to say that their parents weren't at all clever. In fact, they were very foolish indeed. And because they were foolish, the family was as poor as any family could be. Still, they were happy together, until the day their father was foolish enough to take Hansel and Gretel out into the enchanted forest with him and lose them there.
Stay right here, children. I'm going off to cut some wood, but I'll come back for you when I'm finished.
To make sure he would be able to find Hansel and Gretel, their father dropped breadcrumbs on the ground every few feet along the way to make a trail. But when their father had finished cutting his wood, he could not find the trail leading back to Hansel and Gretel, for the birds had eaten all his breadcrumbs, and the poor man had to go home alone. Back in the woods, Hansel and Gretel waited patiently for their father to return, but finally night fell, with no sign of their father.
Perhaps Father has forgotten about us, Gretel.
Or perhaps he has lost his way.
How will we ever find our way home without him?
And I'm so hungry. And it's so dark. And we're all alone.
Come on, Gretel. It won't do to stay here feeling sorry for ourselves. Let's start walking. Maybe we'll find a way home after all.
And so Hansel and Gretel began their long, long walk into the deep of the woods. By morning, they were as tired and hungry as could be, when suddenly, what did they see before them but a house made of gingerbread and candy?
It looks too good to be true.
Come on. I'm so hungry I could eat the whole thing.
Here, try this roof. It's wonderful.
And here, the window is all candy.
Suddenly, as the children were eating, they heard,
Nibbling. Nibbling like a mouse. Who's that nibbling at my house?
Why, it's only us chickens.
Yeah.
But then the big cookie door opened, and an old woman stood before them.
Why, it's children! My favorite creatures. And how hungry you must be. Why don't you come inside and I'll give you each a nice piece of cake and ice cream.
And so, poor Hansel and Gretel went inside, for they never suspected that the old woman was really a witch. A witch who liked to gobble children up and swallow them down.
Now I've got you in my power. Don't you ever try to escape. Little boy, get in that cage. I want you nice and fat for my Halloween feast. You, little girl, you can help me fatten him up. Bring him more cake.
Poor Hansel and Gretel. The Halloween feast was a week away. Every day the witch went to see if Hansel was fat enough to be cooked yet. But she could not see well, and Hansel cleverly held out a chicken bone and said that it was his finger.
He's still too thin. Tomorrow we shall see again. Meanwhile, you there, girl, clean my house. Wash those cabinets and scrub the closets. I want things nice for my ghostly friends on Halloween.
Finally, the morning of Halloween arrived, and the witch ordered Gretel to heat up the oven so that she could cook poor Hansel.
Oh, dear. I wish we had never come here. Oh.
Oh, stop your crying. It won't do you any good. Now creep into the oven, girl, and see if it is hot enough.
But clever Gretel thought to herself,
If I creep in here, she will cook me, too.
and so she said,
I don't know how to get in through the narrow door.
Stupid girl. Why, the door is large enough. Look, I can even get in myself.
And with that, Gretel gave her a push and closed the oven door after her. And that was the end of the wicked witch. Soon, Gretel found the key to the closet and freed Hansel.
and the two of them mounted the witch's broomstick, and it flew them right home.
Trick or treat, Mother and Father!
Children, you're home. I'm so sorry I lost you.
We're so glad to have you home.
That night, Hansel and Gretel and their parents held the greatest Halloween party ever seen in that country. Everyone from miles around gathered to celebrate the return of the children.
Happy Halloween! And they all lived happily ever after.
They were good, Miss Mary. That was fun. Terrific. Super.
And now, my friends, I'm afraid it's time to stop for today.
Oh.
But we'll be back together soon again. Right, Mr. Steve?
Right, Miss Mary. But right now, the Playskool bus awaits, ready to take you home again. All aboard!
Goodbye, everybody. Have you got everything you need for more Halloween fun? Judy, got your broom?
Got it, Miss Mary.
How about your apples, Jimmy?
Got it, Miss Mary.
Jonathan, got your sheet?
Got it.
And Jamie, got your pocket in your packet? Oh, dear, you got me doing it. I mean, do you have your packet of pins in your pocket?
I've got it, Miss Mary.
Then all aboard, all ghosts.
And goblins. And witches.
And children, let's be on our way. You don't want to be late, you know, because tonight's Halloween. And...
Trick or treat!